Hang on a minute. Right.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, everybody.
I'm good. Look, I've got my greatest shoulder guy I've got from the game on Saturday.
Oh, that's cute. That's
yeah,
cute.
I couldn't leave without it. I could not. Yeah. It's the only thing I took home,
Hey, everybody. Timmy Flyersguy here, and I have a very special guest here on the Timmy Flyersguy Podcast. She is an advocate for people with disabilities. She's a model. And she's a very beautiful, strong woman. The lovely Dana Phillips. She is also a huge Philadelphia Flyers fan. Even though right now things are not going well for the Philadelphia Flyers. And me and Dana are going to talk about that today in this episode. This episode will go up on Tuesday, so make sure you check it out. But before we talk about the Flyers, Dana, how are you doing? Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. So I'm doing all right. I'm doing great, actually. Let's take that back. I'm doing fantastic. And I'm doing so great because I am being embraced by the Philadelphia community, the Flyers community, which was really surprising to me after going to the game on Saturday. I got to meet, some fans. But basically, what I'm doing, I'm an artist, and I did my graduate degree working with fabric art. I made a dress out of supplement bottles. I suffered from Lyme disease for 5 years, and I was very, very sick. And so I used all the supplement bottles from everything that I'd been taking to build this dress. And so it was already in me. I had modeled briefly in my early 20s. It did not go well. I wasn't ready. I wasn't emotionally mature enough. And if any other young models are seeing this, I'm 43 years old, right? I'm 43. So I was 21 when I tried to model, and it beat me up in my mind, right? I became bulimic, anorexic. It was so I had to leave. I left, and I ended up pursuing many academic adventures. So recently, I had been separated, and I'm going through a divorce, and I moved in with my mom. I'm staying. This is the room where all the magic happens. All the pictures, all me. And I didn't have my materials, all my paints, everything was all in a storage unit. Too painful for me to go in and look at 10 years of my life in a storage unit, and all my paints were in the back. So I started playing around with fabric and making lingerie and different outfits and things, and using I'm obsessive photographer. I photograph everything. So I was using my photography skills, my art skills, and my need to create in a time of real crisis for me. Very, very emotional, very challenging time. And I didn't really have any plans to do anything with it, with those things, until the Super Bowl. So that's not Flyers talk, but it's what started all of this for me. was that I made a Super Bowl outfit, like all Eagles. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
It's pinned to my profile. For somebody that I was dating and I was really feeling a lot for, and then it was kind of like broken up, and he ended up not watching the game with me, and it was really hard for me, as also someone who was going through a divorce and trying to find something. So I did a photo shoot, and I didn't really know what to do with it, and then this contest came up for Maxim. So I entered the Maxim Maxim Next Cover Girl competition.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I voted. I have been voting, by the way, every day.
Thank you. You know, a lot of people don't realize that you have to vote like every day, or like you don't have to, obviously, but you get one free vote a day. And then that unlocks a picture that I have hidden, which I'm sure you are seeing.
Yeah.
They are very sexy. And so the hidden pictures are a little more risque, but so I entered this contest. I really didn't think anything. Nothing was going to happen. I didn't think I would, but I just kept winning. Like, I beat out like 59 girls, and I'm like, what is happening? And then every round, there's 3 different competitions: Icon, Hot Girl Summer, and Cover Girl. And what they're looking for is someone authentic, someone themselves, someone unique to kind of move into the future. And I felt like maybe that could be me. You know, I am not a typical person, and I've always been a very eccentric. So yeah, I decided to target Philly sports. Not a target, but because I am such a huge fan, I made a Phillies costume, because I was like, oh, Philly season is coming up, and I just did the Eagles one. So I was like, all right, well, I'll make the Phillies costume. And that's the picture that I ended up submitting for the main competition. I still can't really wrap my head around this whole thing. It's like blowing my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I keep winning. But the reason I'm doing that is not just for myself. It is not, I don't really care. I don't want to be like famous or really rich. My dream is to really just have like a little tiny cabin in the woods and paint. But so I also practice transcendental meditation. I'm very, very passionate about mental health support. And as someone who was stuck in bed for months and months and months on end with Lyme disease, and I couldn't walk. I was not able to walk. I lost all my muscle mass. I had to, so the meditation and that mindfulness and that my ability to accept my situation and live my life fully, despite the pain and the suffering, and to just accept that, is really where things started to click for me. So as a mental health advocate, I am seeing, and I think we are all seeing in this world, a lot of people suffering, right? There is so much suffering. It is so much pain.
Yeah.
And so I am trying to reach out to the world, to the communities of people that maybe were not given the tools to understand their feelings, to process their pain, their suffering, and to instead of turning that into anger and frustration, but to embrace your reality and to make the best of your life as it is. And that's very Buddhist. Life is suffering. Once you accept that life is suffering, you're at peace, because then you can live your life in that place. And one of the reasons, so with sports fans, I think that's a lot of men, and And Philly, we get such a bad rap. And I'm like, people don't understand us, right? They just don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't understand that we're so nasty to the
Yeah.
other teams because we love our guys. We love our team,
Yeah.
and we love them passionately to the point where we become maybe a little vulgar towards the other teams, you know. And I am one that will embarrass you at a game because I'm very, very loud and obnoxious. I am a Philly kid, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm some elegant queen here. Like,
Yeah.
I still eat like a truck driver and wipe my mouth with my hands. So, but yeah.
I saw you were at the game yesterday, and what were your thoughts?
Yes, on Saturday it was so great. It was I've not been, we don't have a lot of money, and I was never raised with, we never got to go to games when I was a kid. I never, ever. That was like not something, I mean, we would have to make our own popcorn to go to the movies like once a year. Like, it was just, so being given that opportunity, this was my first Flyers game, if you can believe it, because I get to pick maybe one game every 2 years.
Yeah.
And so this was my first Flyers game, and I had a blast. And it wasn't, I don't care that we lost. I don't. I know that a lot of Flyers fans do. But for me, winning and losing isn't about everything, because you're going to have to lose. If you're going to have to, if we win everything, where's the fun? I mean, like, okay, so if you're the underdog, think like the Phillies 2022 season, the 2022, like, whoa, I don't feel like a lot of people saw that coming that weren't really like super into baseball. And that's the kind of spirit that I love, and that's why I love the Flyers, and I think the fans are like the real ones, because those people like you and the people that are maybe watching and other serious, like, people that, I have a friend, Adam, who played ice hockey in college. I had a couple ice hockey player friends in college. My cousin played for Michigan State. I played field hockey, so I've got some chips in my shins from that little violent sport, but yeah, it's in me. It's in my blood. And my cousin, Rusty, his daughter is an incredible ice hockey player. She is amazing. They live up in Portland, Maine, so she gets to play on the ice, like on the lakes. So, I had a blast at the game. I got my little Gritty. I was really sad. I really wanted to like meet Gritty, but maybe someday in the future. Maybe if I win the contest, But I am excited for this team because they're young, and I think that they're building something. And so they're building. So, like, when I think of the Flyers, I think of the Broad Street Bullies. I think of Bobby Clark. I'm thinking, I'm thinking of these people because this is all I was hearing as a kid. My parents were like, they were newlyweds. They had their first apartment when all of that was going on in Havertown, I think. And I remember this story that keeps getting told as they get older. It gets told more and more. I'll tell them that. But they had they got the sheets off of the bed and they painted "Go Flyers" in like orange paint and hung it over their balcony. And it was just this like amazing time of like ragtag guys that were just, and that's the Philly spirit, and that's Philly. The Broad Street Bullies, that's Philly. And that's, we are a blue-collar city. We have been through it, but we're also the first capital of the freaking country. We have the history. We have the passion. I'm a daughter of the American Revolution. My family fought in the Revolution, fought in the Civil War. This is important to me as as a city, to get the messages out there, and that we're not all bad,
Yeah.
I guess. And it was just, yeah. I talk a lot when I'm nervous.
So
I'm just going to keep going.
So I see this as a story. And with a story, there are many chapters. And the Flyers, I don't really think they have finished the story yet, but sooner or later they will. They will, because I see this. I'm not sure.
They'll have their time.
I'm not sure if you are a wrestling fan, but do you remember WrestleMania last year? And Cody Rhodes.
I do not watch wrestling, but you tell me the story because I think it sounds very inspirational.
So, Cody Rhodes is a wrestler. He's a good guy wrestler. So, there's this whole story of him trying to get the championship. It took him about 2 years to get it. And then he finally won it. So, I see this as the Flyers have not finished the story yet. But when they do, it's going to be epic.
It's going to be very epic. 2008 Phillies.
Yeah.
We hadn't won in my entire life. We hadn't won at that point, right? Like, we never won, like anything. It was like 93 was my first experience with like exciting sports stuff happening. When the Phillies made the World Series in 1993, I named my guinea pig Crucker, which is hilarious because John Kruk was my favorite player then, and I played softball. So I would put gum in my mouth with each new inning, just like John Kruk. He would put a new stick of gum in his mouth with each inning, and by the end of the game, he had like a big wad. And so they lost, obviously, and I think it was like 11 or 12, devastated. Like, it was like the worst day of my life up until that point, But, so when they won in 2008, it was just like, oh my God. I mean, I still have my Utley jersey. I've got my Ruiz Chooch, my favorite player. So I think that as we see the team progress and develop, and I was reading some stuff, about like this upcoming off season being like this new building thing that's happening in this off season coming up. That next season is something that could be something interesting to watch. And a lot of people give the Flyers hell, and somebody posted something like, the Flyers are in year like 52 of like 100-year plan or something. And I was like, was it 50 years ago, the 70s? Because like I'm losing track of time, but I was like, maybe they just don't remember that amazing time.
Yeah.
And I think that will come. It comes.
Yeah,
it will come.
I don't really.
Just every team.
I didn't really know much about the 70s Flyers, but my dad was the one that told me about the Broad Street Bullies. And he saw them win 2 Stanley Cups, and it was amazing.
I can only imagine. Can you imagine how exciting that must have been back then? I mean, there wasn't a lot of to watch either, just that was what was on TV. The whole city, I mean, was just... And actually, I have a hockey puck. From one of those seasons that my dad got from a game. And it is somewhere in that storage unit. Unfortunately, I was like, I really wanted to have it for this interview. But I've had that hockey puck, and it's gashed. It's been smashed, and it was caught. I don't think they had the glasses high up back then or something, or maybe they just had like a net. I don't remember. But yeah, my dad had gotten this hockey puck from the Broad Street Bullies iconic season, which is very, very cherished by me.
So my dad is one of my biggest inspirations. He got me into Flyers hockey, told me everything I knew about the sport and the players, and he was around a lot. He's seen it all. Unfortunately, I lost my father in 2016. He was fighting cancer. He lost his battle with cancer, and it was around 2016. June of 2016. So it's been many years.
Yeah. I'm sure it's still fresh, though. It sounds like your dad was really important to you.
Yeah, he was. He was probably one of the most important people in my life. And, when I was a kid, there were times where I was embarrassed by my parents. I would get embarrassed sometimes. Like, you know how parents are. They like to make a fuss over their kids and everything. And when you're a kid, you don't realize it. But when you get older, you start to realize how important your parents are in your life and how important those memories are.
Yeah, they're so important and sometimes very painful, especially when you've had a loss. The happy memories can be painful for a while. I've had a lot of loss in my life. I've lost a lot of loved ones. And unfortunately, my dad's no longer in my life. That was my own decision. But he was a great dad growing up. And I was such a tomboy. I was convinced that I was going to grow up to be the quarterback for the Eagles when I was 12.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was my dream. And I got a football for Christmas. And my theory was that I was so small and fast that nobody would ever be able to catch me. So, yeah. Didn't think about being crushed to death by 500-pound men. But I was 12. So, I used to throw the ball around in the backyard. Football was too big for my little hand, and I don't think my hands ever actually grew because I still have very little hands, and I have very little wrists. I have to wear kid-size watches. But
Dana, I'm gonna have to take a quick commercial break, but I'm gonna call you right back, and I will be right back, folks.
All right, sounds good.
Folks, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. We will be right back. What do you say, Ralph?
Very nice.
Well, the first part was good. I'm taking a commercial. And we are back. Everyone, we are back. Just had to take a quick commercial break, and we are officially back here on the Timmy Flyersguy Podcast. If you missed the first part of this video, I had a special guest, the lovely Dana Phillips, is with me here on the Timmy Flyersguy Podcast, and she told me she was 43 years old. But in my opinion, I thought she was like 22.
Thanks. I drink a lot of water, but mostly it's genetics. And I eat very healthy.
That's good. So now we're back, and we were also going to address what has been going on with this Philadelphia Flyers team. Dana, what's your opinion? A lot of Flyers have been struggling in the month of March.
Well, it could just be trying to get their footing, just have to find a rhythm. Maybe they're just out of rhythm. Sometimes that happens with teams, maybe it's just one, it could just be one small thing that triggers like a domino effect, or and then the whole team might struggle, for a little while. I unfortunately am not like super, like I'm not like a Sports Center knowledge level. I'm just a pretty big fan. So I'm gonna say that probably could be it. And when I was at the game, I noticed something, and it made me a little sad. And it was very empty. And I know that they've been struggling, right? But okay, but what if the stadium was full? Would they be struggling? What if everyone was there cheering them on? Like, look at the situation that happened with Trey Turner, right?
Yeah.
The Turnaround, a documentary that somehow a lot of people missed.
I saw
covered. Did you see it?
Yeah, Philly Captain, yeah.
So good. I mean, I was so proud to be from Philadelphia when that happened. Let me tell you. That's the kind of energy we need to bring into the future.
Yeah, and
with our team. We don't boo our teams. We don't boo our teams. Some fans are booing our team.
Yeah.
At our Phillies team at the end of the season. And we did have a really exciting season that just kind of like, and okay, that's Philly, right? It happens pretty much with every team every season, almost. We like may go, and I think that's why we go so insane when we win.
There were times,
but the turnaround. So that I wanted to talk about, and so when you've got someone struggling, right? Negative comments, and when I say negative, I hate when say, "Oh, I really cannot stand when people tell me to stay positive." I will tell you right now, stop it. Stop it. Stop telling people that are suffering to stay positive, because that just makes you feel like you're failing. Like you're suffering, right? You have every right to feel pain and cry and be angry, right? Just don't hold on to it forever. But also, don't have people come up to you and be like, "Look, I know your life's terrible, but just stay positive."
Yeah.
Ugh. That's toxic positivity, is what I would call it. Now, I am a stoic. So I follow stoicism, and I follow Buddhism a bit. Also a little bit of ancient Hinduism, Vedicism. I don't know if you read my profile, but I am actually like an academic in my mind. I research and study, and I do a lot of that. So Stoicism is, there's a quote by Marcus Aurelius, who was the last great emperor of Rome. And I'm not going to be able to say it correctly, so I'm just going to give you the summary. And the summary is, you are the one that is controlling whether you're happy or not, right? You're stuck in traffic. Are you going to be angry and mad? Or are you going to notice that the sky is actually really beautiful today, and those flowers are growing on the side of the Schuylkill Highway, are pretty? And that's your choice. So it's your choice in your mind to decide if you want to focus on what's hard and whatever situation you're in, or if you want to focus on something that's beautiful, that's something that makes you happy, something that brings you joy, even if you are in a shitty situation. So that's stoicism, and I'm a stoic, and I try to practice that, and it's changed a lot about my life. It's changed my a lot with my mental health as well. It's so easy because of traffic around Philly. Oh God, rush hour. I mean, I used to hit it every day, 3-hour commute, and I'd be so angry all the time, like just exhausted. And so I just, I had to change my outlook. I had to be like, okay, putting on my favorite song. This is a time for me. I'm having a special moment. This is just my time to relax. I might be stuck, not moving. So, okay, what's the difference between me laying on my couch and listening to my favorite music, or sitting in my car and listening to my favorite music? Stuck it. So that's the kind of like mentality, that I've been pushing. Not pushing. I don't want to push. I don't push things on people. Talking about. And with players, they get caught in their heads.
Yeah,
right?
And I see people.
There's people that make it their living.
Yeah, and
helping them do that.
And
Get out of it.
I see people that just go on social media and they talk out their ass about their team. And there was a time in my life when this hockey team was struggling with 06, 07. And I'm not sure if you remember MySpace, but when I was on MySpace, I was getting harassed by this Devils fan every single time the Flyers would lose a game. And I couldn't stand the guy. The guy was a jerk.
Yeah.
And
but you know what? That guy was not happy in his life.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah. So he had to put his anger into the world and hurt other people. And that's what angry people that aren't happy, that are suffering, and they don't know how to handle it, they put that on other people. And then we have to absorb it. And so we have to choose to, eventually with, a lot that's been happening in the last 10 years, you eventually have to decide that, no, I'm just not going to interact with this person. They're not happy. That's very sad. And I hope that they find happiness someday, and that they're not spewing hate into the world.
So, many years I was always an angry Flyers fan. But 1 year, I think it might have been 2 years ago, maybe in 2022, it was a year ago, I decided, in the summer of 2023, I told myself, why am I so angry? Why am I getting so angry? It's not good for me, and I shouldn't be getting angry. It's not good for my health. It's just going to make me feel worse. And I decided to myself, I'm going to remain calm. I'm going to try to stay calm and stay patient with this hockey team. And I was getting so angry. I was lashing out at the general manager, lashing out at the announcers. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I decided I had to, because the reason I was so angry is other stuff that weren't related to hockey was affecting me. And I had to change my life. And I had a girl I was talking to. She stopped talking to me all of a sudden. And then that's what really was part of my anger. So I decided, maybe it was for the best. And I got on with my life, and I decided I'm going to stay calm, and I'm going to cheer for my hockey team, because I love my hockey team, no matter what.
I was just having a conversation last night with a friend about this, and there is a point in your life where you have to make that decision. And you either make it, and you did. You made that decision to look at things differently. That takes mental strength, and that's healthy. That's a healthy mindset. That's healthy mental health, right? Taking that and saying, okay, look, this is not good for me. Like, I need to eat, you could have sunk deeper into it, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't. You made the decision to lift yourself up. And I think a lot of people struggle with getting out of their head. You get that kind of like, why me mentality. And I struggled with that. Believe me. I was a newlywed. 1 year, I had when I contracted the Lyme disease, nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew. I was in Iowa with my husband. I was in organic farming. Actually, I was learning organic farming, permaculture. That was what the degree I was studying. And I contracted it, but it wasn't a tick. I didn't have a bullseye. It was a bat bug, which I didn't even know existed. But we had, apparently, the apartment that we rented, there was an infestation of bats in the attic, and they have parasites.
Oh, yeah.
And if you could imagine the amount of, like, all of the blood and all of the diseases that bats are carrying around, now they have parasites, and they had made their way down into our apartment and were biting me at night when I was sleeping. It took 6 months before the doctors figured out that it was Lyme disease. And at that point, it was too late, because antibiotics do not work. It's because with Lyme disease, these are spirochete, which is literally like a spiral, and they burrow into your tissue, and then they build a biofilm, and they use your own immune system to build, like, your white blood cells to create a protective layer over top of the spirochete that is eating away at you. And so if you don't get those antibiotics in, like, as soon as possible, and that biofilm is formed, it's extremely difficult to overcome.
Yeah.
It took 2.5 years of using homeopathic medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. Each new round would make me sicker and sicker until I would start to get better. I was so sick, I couldn't even walk around the grocery store once. So for 2.5 years, I think I was probably taking about 12 different vitamin capsule supplements, in addition to all these vials of, like, homeopathic medicine. Take 2 drops of this one at this time of day. I mean, I had a chart. I couldn't eat mint. It was like the craziest thing. But eventually, I got to about 85% of my former self. But it took 2.5 years and almost $10,000 for me to get there.
Yeah.
And so when I was sick in the beginning for 6 months, not being able to walk, having moved to Iowa to learn regenerative farming at my school, Maharishi University of Management, which is where I learned transcendental meditation, which is another major part of my life, is meditation. I had a whole lot of why me's, this is the work. How could this possibly, what is happening to me? I contemplated suicide, and I wanted to die. I couldn't understand. I was at the prime of my life. I had a new husband. Now I couldn't walk, and no one would, it was spreading. It was like one knee, and then within 2 weeks, it was like both knees, both hips. I couldn't feel my face. They were checking me for strokes. I mean, it was very scary.
Yeah.
And
I gotta tell you, you fought like hell, and you got better, and that's what I admire about you.
I did that, and I got my degree because I didn't even miss one class. Anyway, that's not true. I didn't miss or drop out of a class. Now, my professors were very, very wonderful and understanding, and would let me do a lot of stuff from home, which was really great. So when COVID came, I was like, I know how to do this. I've been stuck at home for years. So that worked. But I had to leave my sustainable living degree. I had to leave organic farming behind. And I took a ceramics class just because I couldn't physically do my farming degree. Yeah. And I mean, I grew up, my family is from Philly. My mom, all the way back to, I don't know if I said this, but, my great-grandfather was like an orphan that lived in like a workhouse. Like that's as far back as, in Philadelphia. He was like a, newsies, like random orphan kid that lived in a workhouse. My other great-grandfather, on my grandmother's side, my mom's side, this is all my mom's side, was hit and killed by a trolley. That's how he died. He was killed by one of Philly's trolleys. So, every time I'm driving in Philly and I'm like going over like the tracks, I'm like, I wonder if this was the spot. It's like, but my parents, my grandparents, they met working at the Macy's in Philadelphia, and they lived in Havertown. And my parents went, and they couldn't really afford anything out there, so they moved out to Honeybrook. And if anybody knows what Honeybrook is, I'm a Brooker, I guess you could say. But Honeybrook is basically Amish country on the border of Chester County. So I grew up with Amish, so I had a lot of farming around me. So I was doing the farming, so I had to leave that. And then so I took the ceramics class, and that's how I ended up falling into art. And then I was like, oh my God, I am an artist. This is it. I'm a creator, and I had been dabbling in it for years and years and years. And I'd always thought, this is crap. This is crap. What am I? This is so embarrassing. I don't. The lesson that I learned the most, I think, after switching into their art program, was that it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. You're going to make 50 more. So just keep going. And I'm a firm believer that everyone should be creating something. It doesn't have to be seen by anyone. It doesn't have to look good. It doesn't matter. If you're just going through those motions, it is very meditative. It's very, and humans are meant to create. We are creators. We create things. Yeah. So that creative outlet really also helped me overcome the struggles that I was dealing with Lyme disease.
I myself, the story with me is when I was born with a neuromuscular disease called Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And when I was very young, I used to be able to walk, but I had this disability. And it progressed to the point where I stopped walking at age 9. I stopped walking. And I ended up being wheelchair bound. And then many, many, many years later, in 2017, I was rushed to the emergency room. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I just was struggling to breathe. And then I ended up in the hospital the next day. I ended up aspirated, and then I had to get a tracheostomy put in. And the recovery process was, it was horrible. I spent weeks in the hospital, and then many months in a rehab facility. Did not go home until January 2018. And I gotta tell you, I look back at that as one of the biggest battles in my life. But I got through it. I'm happy, and I'm still here today.
Yeah, I can't even. I'm getting teary-eyed right now because I'm gonna throw out a word. I'm an empath.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
I did kind of run over the disability advocate thing that you had mentioned in the beginning, and so my sister has a condition where she gets brain tumors. So her first brain tumor was when I was 18 and she was 14. And the surgery left her paralyzed on the entire left side of her body. She had a stroke during the operation. It was a really dangerous operation. There was a major artery wrapped around the tumor. And we thought that was it. 25 years later, 2 weeks after I separated from my husband, we find she has another brain tumor this past summer. And bigger tumor, more dangerous place. So, yeah, I almost lost her again. So that was a really tough battle in the rehab. So fortunately, we had the most amazing surgeon at Penn, neurosurgeon. And I'm dropping her name right now. I cannot even remember because I'm getting emotional, but she was just the most amazing. I mean, it was a very, very, very tricky operation. My sister was under for 14 hours. And she came out, and fortunately, technology has advanced a lot since the year 2000, when her first tumor was there. So it actually went quite well. And she did lose her hearing in her left ear. She had a lot of taste issues. Everything that it was tasting, she couldn't eat. In rehab, everything was making her gag, just food in general, the smell, so that was a lot, had to do with some inner ear nerve damage, which still affects her now with like vertigo stuff, because the surgeon had to decide, in order to get to this tumor, whether to risk damaging this nerve that affects her ear, or the nerves that would affect her facial muscles. So it's going to be the ear, right? We're not going to, that would be, yeah. So, and there was some damage. She is progressing, but it's just me and her. That's it. My mom's 70, and I had spent my 20s, half of my 20s and 30s, working with special needs children, and also working in group homes with special needs adults as a caregiver. And those were the best. I loved those jobs. I still, if I could survive off of what they pay to do those jobs, I would still be doing it. But sadly, that's a very underappreciated group of people, the caregivers and the caretakers that are taking care of those of us members of our society that are disabled and that need help. And so I am a huge advocate for disability support. It is not just my sister, it is each child I worked with and their families, who I still keep in touch with. So yeah, I wanted to touch on that too, because that is part of, that's a huge part of me. That's a huge part of my life. So.
I don't really do anything for a living, but I do YouTube. But I don't do it for the money. I do it because I like reaching people, and I like being creative and making videos. That's why I do YouTube. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I want to have an impact on people's lives when I do my videos.
I think we were meant to meet.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm doing as well.
I absolutely agree.
I'm doing this because I want to reach people, and I want to help spread all of this knowledge that I've had, this toolbox that I've had to build over. I mean, I've had to rebuild my life after like total destruction 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm 43 years old, and I've lost everything 3 times. And this time, I had spent the last 12 years building up the tools that I needed unknowingly, getting myself through so much trauma and so much stress. And to be able to come out and be positive. Still coming out every time, pulling myself up, still hard on my sleeve, still wanting to share love, you know, and I think that when I you know, decided to kind of do this thing, you know, I just kind of was on a whim, but I just keep finding more and more that this feels right to me. This feels really, I feel like things are lining up, as we call it in Ayurveda, or in my weird Hindu beliefs, it's my dharma. And I am my purpose. It's just and I think I've been searching for my purpose. I have so many talents, and my mom will tell you, "Oh, you're so talented, you could do anything." I could, but I get bored easily. And so I absorbed an extensive amount of knowledge from all sorts of resources, and I want to be able to share that with the world, and I want to help people. I want to help people understand that they're not alone. They're not alone in their pain. You might be laying alone in your bed, and it feels very cold and alone, and I know that feeling. But there's a lot of people that they're out there too, feeling that way. And I would just love, and the thing, you know, one of the best things about sports is that it gives us all a break.
Yeah, it does.
It gives us a break.
Yeah,
from all that pain, it gives us a break. It pulls us together. It gets us excited. You know, it rallies communities. You meet friends with people that you never would have known. Like, you know, and so so with sports, and after what we did with Trey Turner and the mental health discussion that was following with that, with the turnaround documentary, and if you guys haven't seen this, it's short. It's made by the same director that made the Oscar-winning documentary on, I think it's called like The Last Workshop or something, and it's about music workshop. It's a great documentary, and the man, I don't remember his name, I have a terrible memory, that put himself out there, really. I mean, this sports fan, I mean,
he's the Philly captain. He's on YouTube. He does a lot of tours. He does videos where he shows people the neighborhoods in Philly. He's also a huge Philly sports fan too. Great
and he
guy.
went out,
Great guy,
he was
too.
vulnerable, you know, to talk about that he was contemplating suicide and how depressed he was, and that and then for him to have that, to make that connection, that once he started
Alright, we're back on. Okay, we're back. You guys didn't see it. Dana was saying that, you know, what we said about, that he was saying the people, the good players that are going through something, it's really not a nice thing for people to do, and we were also talking, and that's what we were talking about earlier, so.
So I was talking about the Trey Turner turnaround, clapping, ovation thing, and how that positive, like, energy, you know, completely changed everything for him. I mean, it was just amazing. And so it was so disappointing for me to see our fans booing our team when they were down, like already down on themselves, and at the end of the season last year. And so anyway, the whole thing that I wanted to get to was that I am super, super, super trying to push for a standing ovation for our first home opener to welcome our guys back and let them know we still love them.
Yeah.
And even though it has been 3 so stressful, so close seasons, clean slate. We're still here.
Yeah.
We love them. We love all of them. And we're ready for whatever they give us this season.
That's right.
Because they give us joy, fun, excitement, distraction, and even if we're winning or losing, I mean, like I was saying, even though we lost on Saturday when I went to the game, I still had so much fun, right? Because I was there, and these guys were doing what they could do. They were doing the best that they could at that moment in their time, in their life. Right?
Absolutely agree.
That's all they could do. That's the best that they could do at that moment in their life as a human being, as human beings. But we were still having fun, and that's a gift that they are giving us. Same with the Phillies. So I would really love a standing ovation. I mean, really, a Trey turnaround, Philly turnaround. Let's get this season off to a great start.
I absolutely
positive energy. No booing. Like, what? What possibly could come from that? Yeah. And so I think we've all learned after, with the turnaround that what we can do and what Philly fans are capable of.
Yeah.
Because we are passionate and we love our team. That's important.
Well said. So folks, we're probably getting ready to end this podcast, but before we go, me and Dana, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about our favorite Philadelphia Flyers moments. Dana, you go first. What is your favorite Flyers moment of all time?
Gosh, that's, I don't know. I don't think I have an answer for that, embarrassingly. I feel like for me, it was probably a Flyers moment for me. Were hearing the stories with my dad and bonding over that as a child. But even going to the game for me just on Saturday was so much fun. I got to meet us talking to the fans. I got to meet some of the, the staff. Everybody's so great. We took pictures. I got this awesome poster.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they were giving out free posters. I was like, yes, please. And I think also, and this is slightly not hockey, but bringing Gritty on board was genius.
Yeah.
A stroke of genius. And I keep hoping that I'm going to end up with a little Philly fanatic to put on my other shoulder so I can kind of have like the angel devil situation happen.
Yeah.
But so.
Yeah.
How about you?
My favorite moments when my dad telling me about the great stories of the Philadelphia Flyers was one of my all-time favorite memories that I remember with my dad. And there's 2 of them. I'm not sure, but do you remember? I'm not sure, but you remember the Philadelphia Phantoms minor league team?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember in 2005 when they won the Calder Cup at the Wells Fargo Center in 2005. It was a lockout year. There was no Flyers hockey, no NHL hockey period. No teams were playing that year, 05-04.
Oh, yeah, that's right. God.
And the Phantoms, it was a great series with the Chicago Wolves. Great final series. Phantoms swept the Chicago Wolves 4 games to nothing. Took the Calder Cup in 2005. It was a great memory me and my dad had. And another great memory was the 09-10 Philadelphia Flyers season. In the beginning, it was looking good. Then things were starting to go downhill for the Flyers. But then the Flyers, something miraculous happened. They started winning, and they made the playoffs. Beat the Devils in 5 games. Beat the Bruins in an epic comeback. Down 3 games to none. Down 3-0 in Game 7 to beat the Bruins. Beat the Montreal Canadiens to win the Eastern Conference Championship. Yes, they didn't win the Stanley Cup when they made the Stanley Cup Finals. But the important thing is that team went the distance that year. It was like the first Rocky movie. And that's one of the greatest moments I spent with my dad. And one of the greatest moments I remember. And I'm hoping that the Flyers can get back there one year. They came close in 2020, but the pandemic really put a damper on that. So I'm hoping to see this team do something miraculous. I don't know if it'll be this year, but sooner or later, something miraculous will happen for this team. I believe in that.
I think they're building something really special. I really do. And I think that we are, a few years away from some of these younger players maturing into their full capacity. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I love that both of our memories were about our dads, because it's, that those connections, it's family too, right?
Right.
It's bonding. Some of my most peaceful, happy moments of my childhood were falling asleep on the couch while the baseball game was on in the background. You're just hearing it, just as a child, or the football game, or whatever game was on, just it being in the background. It just meant it was something. It was those were the, some of my most peaceful sleeps. Even, it's just, obviously you can't sit through every Phillies game, because they play a billion games a season.
Yeah.
But even just having them on in the background. But I am really amped up. I would love to go to another Flyers game. I wish I had a jersey or something. I just can't, everything's expensive. But I got my gritty, and that's, and I got some orange stuff. I had to get creative.
Yeah, I hope that we get to meet someday in person, because you're a very interesting person. You're very strong. You're just very kind, and I like that about you. You're very kind and warm towards people. I like that.
Thank you. I think you're very interesting and kind as well.
Yeah. So, folks, thank you guys for joining us here on the Timmy Flyersguy Podcast. Dana, let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Okay, so I am up for Maxim's next cover girl. They're looking for someone unique and different, and what you could do is you can visit my Instagram profile page, just my homepage, my bio, and tap the link, and you can vote. You can vote for free once a day, or you can spend $10 and you're getting a copy of what's called the Maxim Next book, and it's going to be like an art book. I'll be in it. The models and the competitions are going to be in it, and then I get 10 points. So, 10 votes. But also, yes, and if you don't have Instagram, you can go to maxim.com and click to find the Cover Girl Challenge, and you're going to look for Dana Phillips, Dana Phillips, like the screwdriver. Actually, do they have 2 L's in the screwdriver? Well, 2 L's. Yeah. It's in my last name. And my Instagram is Dana Phillips Art. So there's an underscore, because there is some other Dana Phillips artist somewhere that took my name. Bastards.
Cool. So
please go vote and buy the books. I really think it's going to be cool. They're trying to move into a more artistic direction, but it's still a lot of beauty and
Yeah.
So
guys, go follow Dana Arts on on Instagram. Follow her on Instagram at Dana Arts. Vote for her because she's a very beautiful person inside and out. Very kind human being. Follow her on Instagram. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Flyersguy8654. You can follow me on Instagram, Timmy the Flyersguy 215. Make sure you check out my YouTube channel, Timmy Flyersguy, and I'm also on Facebook if you guys want to be friends with me. It's Timmy Flyersguy as well.
I just wanted to add, I almost forgot. So when you do vote, you unlock pictures. And I think I mentioned this earlier. So like if you buy the book, like you unlock 10 pictures at once. So like that, because it counts as 10 books and a lot of those pictures are hidden. But if you are following me on Instagram, I am posting a lot of pictures that aren't on the profile, that aren't on Maxim. And I'm trying to, keep up the momentum. So if you want to keep seeing, what I'm doing, you can follow my Instagram and then also, go to my bio page and click the link for Maxim and vote for me, please.
Yeah, and you can also follow me on TikTok as well. The man they call Flyersguy is my TikTok. Check out my videos on there. Thank you for joining us, guys. Remember to go follow Dana Phillips. Make sure you rock the vote for Dana Phillips. Get all your votes in.
Yes.
Because she is amazing.
And let me know, please. Comment. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to hear from everybody. I really do.
All right, so have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining me and the lovely Dana Phillips. This episode will go up on my YouTube channel on Tuesday, so make sure you look out for it. Dana, it was a pleasure, and have a great day.
It was wonderful. You have a great day, too. Thank you. Bye.
See ya.